Here we are in Portland. We're talking to Trena. And Trena, tell me about the homeless situation here.
Well, Portland is a large metropolitan city. We do draw a lot of homeless. We are a very tolerant city, and people will often come here trying to seek out that tolerance. Unfortunately, when they get here, they find out that our local constabulary isn't always friendly, and we have large populations both downtown, the urban dwellers, and then they have over in the southeast where I'm from, the southeast North Clackamas area, that have very large populations, but these are rural dwellers. They live in the forest, away from sight until the Parks Department or Oregon Department of Transportation comes and sweeps them. So then we'll have a group of people over in the northeast, North Portland, under like the St. John's Bridge and that type of thing. Mostly our biggest populations are in the southeast, with one homeless count that they did about 3 years ago said 51% of the population, homeless population, lived in southeast Portland, but yet we got less than a fourth of any kind of revenue. And we certainly don't have the shelters. We have really nothing in my area. Here it's a little bit better, but you've got to remember it's very congested. It looks like there's a lot more homeless in downtown, but because they're basically in one small area, it just looks like a lot more, but it really is not.
We're still taking
We have women, men. Unfortunately, we have families that come in, and we just don't have the shelter space. Even if we did have the shelter space, that's just temporary fix. We have social programs such as Join, Central City Concern, just different programs, Impact Northwest, that help the homeless. But I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here, because what I've discovered, especially in the southeast where we have a very large concentration of homeless, is if you put the average single adult without a family, or maybe a couple, but no children, you try to put them into immediate housing, let's say with a HUD voucher or something, you're setting them up for failure, because they weren't born homeless, they became homeless for a variety of reasons, and the reasons are varied as there are people. You have people who lost their jobs, people whose jobs have been outsourced. You have people that have come from extremely dysfunctional families that it's better to go out in the streets than live in that kind of situation. We have a lot of domestic violence survivors, and that's how I got involved with Right to Dream too, because I had no place to put the domestic violence survivors. And if I don't find a place to put them that very night, they'll go right back to their abusers, because it's the devil you know compared to the devil you don't know. So we have a large population of single women out there in the streets, and to me, they are the most vulnerable as far as adults are. They're used for a variety of reasons. They get hooked on drugs. Their abuser also becomes their dealer. They send them out in the street for prostitution. They have them muling their drugs. The existence for women is so dismal. And in fact, the one case that really comes to mind, I won't say her name, but she was a beautiful woman. The meth had taken its toll, but she was beautiful, like 6 foot. But she was with just a louse of a boyfriend, and he beat her on a regular basis, and he finally was put in jail. And she would come for treatment, or I would take her to come to pick her up to take her to a detox center so we can get into treatment. But she never was quite ready, and this happened over and over again. The next thing I know, she's dead from a drug overdose. And the Sheriff's Department gave me a letter. Her last letter was on her person, and they gave it to me to give to the family. I'm the one who informed the family of her death. And the family said to me, take that letter, read it, and if you think you can save people, read it. Well, some of it was mushy stuff, but the one thing that really stands out is her telling me, I'm so scared, I'm so cold. Drugs is the only way that makes me feel normal, or makes me feel like I have any control. And when that's out of my system, I'm worse than ever. And that's what we've always said, is this is a real domino effect with drugs. You'll just be lifted up for a short while, and then it just falls down, and then your whole life it decimates your life. Now, we do have some really interesting things going on right now, because I'm so anti-drug, any kind of drug that's illegal, which marijuana no longer is here. But I've been communicating with the chief of police in Gloucester, Massachusetts, which is from the Perfect Storm city, if anybody remembers that movie. And he and a group have a very innovative program where they believe that drug addiction is an illness and it needs to be treated as such. The manual for mental health issues says it is a disease, but here they tend to throw them in jail, and there's just not enough treatment facilities. But they don't believe that punitive actions is going to do it. I don't either. So now we're bringing them here to Portland to meet with the local constabulary to try to get out and work, especially in the homeless populations, to get people the help that they need. And when you say help, I'm not talking about getting them into treatment and throwing them back out in the street, because I can promise you they will relapse. You can't go from treatment back to the streets and not relapse. We have these bug bastards, we call them the Candymen. They just love to be there with that free taste of drugs. And they will give the person who comes out of treatment, if they're on the street, that free taste of the drug. Just say, just try it one time, for old time's sake, and they're hooked on it again. And the only choices the folks have that are continuing the sickness is to go to a mental institution, go to jail, or go to the morgue. Those are the only three options. And I am so tired of being at the funerals of wonderful people that just are misunderstood in the most part, having to die because of their inability to find what they need to get off these really ugly streets and get the help that they need.
Okay, that's part one, I guess.